You're listening to Before We Get It Right. Real moms, real conversations for the messy middle. I'm Leah.
And I'm Catherine, and this is a space for honesty, not perfection, before we get it right. I do have a quick funny story though before we get started for Leah. So I'm voice messaging Nicole this morning to tell her that I'm going to be late for this. And I was like, "Hey, can we start, probably 15 minutes later?" And she voice messaged me back. She goes, "Oh, the birds in Wisconsin sound so peaceful," or whatever. And I was driving the girls to school. I was letting them watch Angry Birds in the back of my car. So I was thinking, I was like, but like Angry Birds, there's not like a lot of chirping, like they are legit talking. So I was like, what is she talking about? Elena's Hatch sound machine must have been running in the background, and she is set on having the birds chirp. I think it's the most annoying sound ever, but Elena loves it. So in my voice message, you could hear Elena's sound machine just
You
with
I thought you were, like, walking in the forest, like, talking to me, and I was like
Sounds very Wisconsin to be like surrounded by nature and like a wooded area.
I know, I just, like, I pictured you like Snow White, voice messaging me.
I was in my car, my kids were watching Angry Birds.
More real, that's reality.
Okay, so welcome back everyone to another episode of Before We Get It Right. Today, we are joined by someone who I think a lot of moms are going to relate to. And that's one of the reasons why I actually wanted to have her on the podcast. And also, just like one of my favorite kinds of people. I've never met this guest in real life, but I feel like I've known her. I refer to her as my TikTok bestie. And she just has this magnetic energy about her that is just very relatable. And one of those people you're like, I just want to be your friend. So, Nicole is joining us today. She is the creator behind Peace of Mind Mama, a mom of two, an audiologist, a content creator, and someone who has spent most of her life trying to understand what it means to feel good physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. She has been on a wellness journey since she was young, long before wellness was before it became trendy on social media. And she has spent years learning how food, lifestyle, faith, and self awareness impact the way we show up in our lives. But what really drew us to Nicole's story is that she has walked through some incredibly difficult seasons. And we're talking about becoming a first time mom during isolation of 2020, which Leah, you also can relate to that too. Navigating postpartum depression, leaving the career she thought she'd have forever, and later experiencing one of the hardest combinations imaginable, grieving the loss of her mom while caring for a newborn. And when I say newborn, I mean newborn. I watched from afar, unfortunately not there close up, but because she lives in New York. Like I said, I've never met her in person, but watching her carry forward in life while grieving and turning to things that bring her joy, it's just very inspiring. And I can't wait to get into it. I'm just proud to have you on today.
Catherine, that was the most beautiful introduction, thank you. Thank you so much. Sometimes when you're in it, it's hard to kinda pull back and see the story and see the alignments, and having someone like you who has been this, like, observer, yet we've had this really parallel experience, as moms, as professionals, as seekers of peace. It's really nice to kinda hear it summarized from someone else, so thank you for
Zooming out.
kind words, and I feel the same about you. You throw it right back, but you've been an incredible inspiration to me, and as someone I have not met in real life, you've been one of the most supportive and, like, present people checking in on me, which is
Oh,
just goes to show you how you never know the people that you meet, how they're gonna impact you.
yeah. Okay. We're only 2 minutes in. You can have make me cry. Okay. No crying right now. Not yet.
I know, warning, warning.
Today, yes, we're going to talk about all the things motherhood, grief, sleep deprivation, which we can all identify with, finding identity, wellness, faith, surrendering control, which we all have a hard time doing, and what it really looks like to find moments of peace, even when life is not going the way that we expected it to. I'm going to jump right in with a question. For someone meeting you today, Nicole, who are you today?
Oof.
Leah, I think we brought this question up in another episode not that long ago of like, how do you even answer that question? And here I am just throwing it at you. First question.
No, and I'm so glad because I actually listened to you guys talk about like how you react. Like, I'm a mom, right? I'm a mom of two. I have two kids. And you start talking about these extensions of yourself, which are beautiful things that you've had a very, very big part in creating. But as women, I think it's almost like we're felt guilty to identify with something else or want to identify with something else. And I've really started to understand that in order to be the type of mother I want to be, which was the mother that I had that gave me ultimate comfort and safety until my adult years, you have to fill yourself up. You have to be your own person. So who am I? I am a woman who is living her life trying to make decisions to create peace in my mind, in my heart, for my children, for my family, for my home. If I can leave a legacy of peace, that would be just something that I could have a lot of comfort with because I know the mind can be your biggest enemy or your greatest strength. I just want to be someone to guide people to find that place in their mind that feels okay. That feels okay.
Great answer.
Thank you.
I think that's great. And I think that's the ultimate goal that a lot of people search for, but don't really know how to even put that into words. And I
Mm.
think a lot of people are searching for peace, but they don't even know that that's what they're searching for. So I think you just put that in like perfect words.
I think a lot of the times we're told to like seek happiness, right? Seek joy. And that those great. Those are really, really important good things. We should seek happiness and joy and healthy forms of dopamine and serotonin and all the things. But exhilaration all the time is not peace. Sometimes it's just being, sometimes it's just being present, sometimes it's just putting the phone down, which we can talk about that too, because as a content creator, as a mom trying to start a business, that's hard too, the presence, but it's just that stillness that we can find to be able to then hear the guidance that really is around us at all times. It's just a matter of us stopping and pausing and having the capacity to hear it.
I feel like you sound like me.
I was gonna ask, so you gave the intro even about your identity right now, kind of where you're at, but let's take it back just a couple years. So you two met via TikTok. Nicole, you mentioned you started your TikTok in 2020. Can you talk a little bit about that time in your life? What inspired you to do that? Because obviously it was so new at the time, and that was just a crazy time. I know in your life, but also in the world. So kind of take it back so we can kind of get to know how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so what I can do is take you back to March of 2020, which is a big transitional point for everyone. Where were you in March of 2020?
I was in Tahiti on my honeymoon. We got one of the last flights out of there. Brad wanted to not go, and I was like, "No, we're going. I need that overwater bungalow, and I'm not giving that up." And that was when it was really just in Italy. It hadn't even fully
It was early,
yet.
yeah.
So
I'm happy for you. I love the happy COVID experience. Can't relate, but I love to do love.
I'm so sorry. Where were you?
I was 6 months pregnant, working full time. I am an audiologist. I got my doctorate in 2014. And so I was good years in. I was working in like a corporate healthcare place, 40 to 50 hours a week, working really hard and thought it was going to be pretty much my forever place. They allowed women to work part time at that time. And it just was going to kind of be like my maternity. It was going to take my nice long leave and get paid and just go back. I was around a lot of sick people. I was in ENT. So it was like a lot of exposure. And I basically said, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. And I never returned.
I'm sorry to even just pause right there. What made you like why audiology? What made you go into that?
Not all, but most audiologists start with an undergrad seeking a career in speech pathology, speech language, which is what my original plan was in high school. Was just annoying overachiever. I'm not proud of it because I was
Firstborn, right? You're the firstborn.
born type A, like expectations were high from others, but like eventually it was just me. It was my expectations for myself. So by my senior year of high school, I was taking 24 college credits. I went into college as a sophomore. Somewhere in my anatomy class for you get most speech classes and you get like 3 hearing audiology classes, and I did have like a very spiritual, like clicking moment. I learned about the anatomy of the ear. I absolutely just loved everything about it. The physics, the frequencies, now that I know, I love all things meditation and frequency and dimension. So there is a reason I know that I
That's so interesting how that overlaps.
for sure.
I never thought about it that way.
Me either.
And then to go back further, as a child, I did countless like, my book reports were on Helen Keller and Anne Sullivan, her speech teacher. I just was drawn to it. I loved working with the babies. I did the newborn hearing screenings. I volunteered for that in the hospital for a while. I did. I have a passion for it. So I went, the 4 years after, kind of promised like you're gonna get that doctor title, you're gonna be like set for life, boss babe, and then I get to go be a mom, which is really just all I wanted to do.
From a young age, you always wanted to be a mom.
I did. My mother loved being a mother, and she did make it look pretty good. Now I'm just like, why'd you make it look so easy, mom? Can I ask you some more questions? But she found a lot of joy in motherhood. She and her career, she was in healthcare, so she was a dental hygienist, and I watched her be able to have a really flexible career. She worked part-time, she scheduled based on our schedules throughout our years as we grew older, and that's really what I wanted. And it's crazy when I talk about it, to get a doctorate to not want to not want to work full time.
Okay, March of 2020.
Yeah. There was like this period of like, oh, is this going to be my maternity? Do I get to start my maternity leave early? Great. And then it was like, this isn't ending. This is not ending. And then the fear started. And then my baby shower got canceled that my mom just like planned, like, so the most beautiful party. It was in April that got canceled. I didn't see my anyone for Mother's Day. I was a product of the fear that, unfortunately, now when I look back on hindsight, right? I hate that I let the fear get into me. And I was so terrified of being separated from my baby in the
Mhm.
hospital. Like, this was that I wouldn't let anyone around me. I wouldn't let, and it was not good. It was very hard on a lot of relationships, on families, and I know a ton of people went through this. Like, if you've seen the Inside Out 2 movie, the anxiety,
Oh, yeah, that was you?
I relate to that. Deleted my Instagram
Oh, you went off
and
the grid.
started the TikTok without anybody knowing,
Okay.
except for one of my
That's what I
one
did
best
too.
friend. No one knew. My one best friend basically went, "You're pregnant, you need to do the baby mama trends." And I was like, "How do you use a sound on TikTok?" She had to teach me how to do it. And, then I started dancing postpartum when I was super depressed. I started doing, like, the TikTok dance trends.
Actually, I think the video where I found you was one of yours went viral, and it was you in your backyard with a leaf blower after taking a gummy. Obviously, you were not pregnant at this time.
I was not pregnant. That's hilarious. That was my first viral video. I wrote about blowing the leaves, and I had so many angry men come at me in the comments. They were like, "You took this away from your husband?" I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Everyone can use a leaf blower.
But I found Catherine. I remember your bio saying it was like cozy goods coming or coming soon. And I was like, and I was so excited to see like what you were gonna do. And then we both didn't know what we were doing for a really long time.
We still don't. I mean, have you figured
like
it
the
out yet?
best
Do you know what you're doing? Because I still don't know what I'm doing.
Feel like the time in which you're talking about, like, one, I got to have my parents in the hospital, right? Like, they got to come in. It was when we left that nobody else could come in. So, like, we kind of got this sweet spot there. Like, I can't imagine being pregnant with your first, which is already so intense anyways, and having to be so alone because it was a scary time. Nobody knew, like, is this, as severe as everybody said? Like, there was so much unknown and you had to keep yourself safe, so
When did you have Addie? What month was she born?
June. So she'll be 6 in a few weeks. She was born the day after my birthday. So my birthday is June 24th. She was born on June 25th. What happened was everyone started laxing around that time, like the summer came.
yeah.
And I was not laxing because
You had this new
I
little
had a new
bundle of life that you were taking care of, and no one really knew
baby.
no one knew what was going
Well, in
And
that time, I
also
feel like what you did know is you're hearing from people who, like I remember, I think it was about that time we had a family friend who lost her dad, and he wasn't very old, like, no pre-existing condition, things like that. I feel like those stories started to come out more and more, and you're like, "Okay, I have to buckle down and, like, my babe keep my baby safe."
yeah, the stories were awful, and that also brings me back to, like, turning off the TV and turning off the news, and that all came with me, like, getting rid of Instagram, and I almost changed the channel. I just had to change the entire channel of everything that I was consuming
to
because
TikTok.
it was it's right. No, not my better, but it was just feeding the fear, and it was, but thank you for saying that because it is, we didn't know. We
No, I mean, I had Ada in February of 2021, 7 months later, and, like, I actually preferred no one coming to the hospital. I actually liked that. That was just my personal preference, but, like, you still couldn't have visitors or anything like that even at that time.
I remember it got pretty bad again because my, like, postpartum depression really was almost, like, 4 to 6 months in. It's like when people stop kinda checking on you and you're supposed to be fine, and then it was Thanksgiving, it got bad again. I, like, didn't go to Thanksgiving, and Christmas, we zigzagged, and it was sad. It was all sad. It was, like, just
Mhm.
and it was supposed to be happy. I knew that I needed to start living again. I was not living my
Yeah.
life.
Well, and I feel like being in New York during that time too, I think back to, like, whether in the city or not, that was also when all the riots were happening, you had all the protest, you know what I mean? So it's also just, like, a crazy time in general being postpartum and that, and so
It wa yeah.
yeah. But being talking about how you needed to fix your mindset and kinda change things, what happened next?
I kind of just got sick and tired of being sick and tired, that old line, and I knew I had to do something. I had a holistic doctor that I had seen back in 2018 who really had a huge impact on my health, and I decided to go back to him because I was just, like, inflamed and had gained a lot of weight postpartum, so uncomfortable, not even about how I looked, but I just felt out of body. I didn't feel like myself. And I went back to him, and that was about October of 2021, and I kinda just started getting my health back. So that was the first step. Got rid of the gluten and the dairy again. That was a big thing for me, that I had eliminated and then kind of inched back when I was pregnant, because when you're pregnant, if you have an autoimmune, or it often resolves when you're pregnant, which it did. So I was like, bagels, pizza, this is
Yeah.
amazing.
I didn't know that, so I went through the same thing, and I had no idea until a friend of mine with celiacs was, like, explaining this to me because I thought that I was just, like, giving into cravings and having a lot of good luck because I would like, "It's not, like, hurting me in the same way, like, let's go."
Yeah.
And it's so insane how your body, yeah, does that.
Pregnancy is weird, man. So
It's a
weird.
wild thing. Yeah, essentially the fetus is, like, absorbing it for you, so thank you, baby. So getting my health on track was the first start, and then, like, entered what we can call the spiritual awakening, and I that's probably when we started really chatting. That's when I ramped up my TikTok. I started, like, really thinking, "I'm gonna do something. This is fun. I'm gonna."
What made you get to that point though of like what kind of was your spiritual awakening? Was it just like kind of a slow build or did something happen that kind of just changed the trajectory for
I
you?
think about that sometimes. I was listening to a lot of books. The Untethered Soul I listened to, and I fell asleep to it one night, and sometimes I'm like, did something happen that night that I listened to this book? Because it was this time period of I would articulate, I have it written down in all these different places. Something's happening to me. I don't know what's going on. I am shedding. I kept talking about this shedding of layers. I just felt myself, like, taking this Velcro and removing myself from these belief systems that I had been so attached to for so long. My meditations ramped up. My baby started sleeping a little bit more.
Mhm.
I was water. I live on Long Island. I am an ocean person.
I've got Lake Michigan, which is
I know.
much.
I was doing that. That was 20, led us into 2022. April, we all got COVID for the first time. So we had made it to 2022. And
Hey, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
I do just wanna ask quick, so after Addie, though, like, you had decided, "I'm not returning to audiology," in this time frame, right?
that's yeah, we missed that. So I actually decided what I decided was I'm not returning to my old job. I tried to go back part-time. It was not an option. I just knew it wasn't something I could do. So I did take it was probably so she was born in June. By April, it was 10 months I was home. I did go back to a part-time job working for a friend I had graduated with. It was wonderful. He had opened a private practice and it was like the perfect kind of transition. It was 2 days a week and I would go
Okay.
in and, my mom would watch the baby, and that also really helped me find some balance, I will say. Not necessarily working, but just like leaving my house and being alone for 6 to 8 hours. I started realizing I'm forming complete thoughts and writing things down and how staggered your thoughts are when you're a parent. Quickly, I am practicing currently. I left that private practice. I have a wonderful mentor who I've known. She was my professor, and I work closely with her. I do educational audiology. I essentially go in. I work for one of the local districts, and they let me know what they need. And I'm working with the little kids, which is really nice. And it is very, very part time. I create my own schedule.
Well, yeah, that sounds great. I'm so glad that you're able to still do that, and it sounds very flexible to work around your schedule, which is great because you had Emma as well. We were pregnant around the same time too with our second girl, so I feel like we that's another way that we connected. Go back, your whole family got COVID.
Yes. So this is kind of it just as a trigger warning, it will lead into the grief story. So we all got COVID, and since my parents were really the only one watching my daughter, well, we all got it, right? So it was one after the other, and I couldn't believe how okay I was. I was like, wow, like we're gonna be okay. We're all gonna be okay. We all started getting better. My mom did not get better. And my mom had to then go to her doctor to say, why is this still going on? They did a
She had like a really like a lingering cough for a long
the lingering cough, the COVID cough. And she had a chest scan on a Monday and they found stage 4 cancer.
So do they have any idea how long she had it?
They have no idea how long she had it. She essentially so at the point that it was found, it was lung, spine, brain, like it was just a disaster. And no sign except for her neck pain that she's always had as a dental hygienist being hunched over for 8 hours a day.
When Nicole said that our lives were very parallel, like very parallel, she had the same type of lung cancer, wasn't it the ALK positive?
Genetic.
Which is what Brad's mom had, the same kind of cancer.
My parents found out by reading a report on the portal.
Yeah, which is I
Which
hate when
they
that
to
happens.
confirm I had it texted to me, that's how I read it. It was a nightmare, no one should ever have to go through that, but unfortunately, that does happen, and that moment, which I never knew, that the moment of the diagnosis, it's the beginning of the grief, everything changes, because it was almost a month before we even knew what type of cancer it was and what her treatment was gonna be, and that month, I mean, I think I felt like I was floating. So I had been now 4 weeks into this spiritual awakening. I'm with God. I feel so, and now my mom is thought that my hard season, I had just came out of it. So needless to say, TikTok took a back seat and so did everything else. And this was also not great, but I convinced myself that I was going to single-handedly heal her with, any way that I possibly could. She was the most incredible cancer patient. She had no fear for herself except it was just for us. It was so past the point. She was able to take a pill. So she didn't go through chemo.
The oral chemo, because that's what the
Yeah,
ALK
like an oral chemo.
positive gene cancer that responds well to.
And essentially, the doctor said that was our only hope in her having a little bit more of life left. And here in my mind, I'm going, you're buying my girl's prom dresses. Like I'm visualizing, I'm mad if I'm doing everything that I possibly can. I am not letting anyone near her that's negative. I am not letting anyone complain to her. It was like I wanted to form this protective bubble around her, which you can't do with human beings, by the way.
I'm sure she appreciated the try.
Yeah. But we had a really beautiful, like, I just dedicated my time to being with her. She was my daughter's everything. The way that she and Addie were, their closeness was just next level. So that was a really tough component too. But yeah, so then we like went into the season of her kind of going to doctors, getting treatment, me like in complete denial of what was actually happening. And then she, like, leveled out. She was doing alright, and that was when I decided, like, I'm gonna have a redemption pregnancy. I'm gonna get pregnant. I knew I wanted 2 kids. I knew she wanted me to have 2 kids, and I said I want her to be here for it, and she's okay right now, and she's gonna be here for a few more years, and got pregnant. And I'll go to our story because we, like, stopped talking for a few weeks, me and you, and all of a sudden, we were like, "Are you pregnant? Because 'Cause I'm pregnant. Are you
Or
pregnant?"
I didn't I for whatever reason, I just got, like, this feeling that you were pregnant, and it was very, like, early, and then I was like, "So I'm
Mhm.
pregnant too," and then when, we shared, like, baby names, I was like, "Mine starts with an E," and you were like, "Same here."
Our due dates were 7 days apart. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Oh, we lost the should I wait?
Gotta love internet, right?
And so, yeah, we went to Montauk, we went on vacations, we went to concerts. She was a huge Barry Manilow fan. My first concert ever was with her at Jones Beach in, I think, 1997, and we saw Barry Manilow, and our last concert together was Barry Manilow at Radio City. We had a really special time together. So, I have incredible memories, and I was in this I was almost, like, documenting her, knowing what I was doing, and I still really have not been able to go there yet. Like, I
That's
haven't yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
totally fine. I'm glad you, like, have those, though, for, like,
yeah.
when that time feels right for you.
She was living her life, she was going to her appointments, my doc's incredible, she by her side for every single appointment, she was never alone. They had my daughter still when I was working, she brought them so much joy, and she just kind of slowly started to have different health things go on. If anyone has gone through, unfortunately, the situation, it's not always like the cancer that it's the blood clots. Her legs were swollen for a really, so things just started not looking as promising. She watched my baby, my 3.5-year-old, of course, when I gave birth. They did come to the hospital. I had an incredible delivery, and that was super redemptive and great. And my mom came to the hospital, and my mother-in-law came to, I had that I didn't have for COVID.
Mhm.
But there was like an impending feeling that something wasn't right and she wasn't right and her energy wasn't right. When I was about 4 weeks postpartum, her oxygen levels were low. She's in the hospital for a couple days and then came home. And this was like really close to Christmas at this point.
Which also, like, worst time
Yeah.
ever too, on top of being, having a four-week-old baby.
Yeah. And on a Saturday, she was wrapping presents for Christmas. And she essentially, to make a very long story, she essentially had a brain bleed. She had a stroke. She lost feeling on one side of her body. And we lost her 4 days later. It was the quickest, most shocking. It wasn't very peaceful. I was losing my milk, like there
Very
was
traumatic.
things.
I remember Nicole texting me because we were postpartum together, and she was, like, stressing about her milk because, that's, like, one thing that women do feel like they can control, and you had
Really.
so much shit going on, and, I was like, "Who no, no, no one cares about your milk. Your
Yeah.
milk can be gone,
You're like,
it's
"What the
fine." I said, "Stop trying to pump." I was like, "I'll stop pumping with you, okay? Like, I'll let my
Like,
milk
in
go."
solidarity, we stopped
That makes
together.
you feel better. I will stop pumping too. Like, do not stress about this. But it's like that one thing that you were trying to control in such a traumatizing, traumatic experience that you were living. And you're already under the like postpartum fog of life too, like in the thick of it. I mean, that was just a lot to go through in a short amount of time.
It was definitely a lot. I remember you going, like, mental health check-in. It was the first time anyone's ever done that to me.
was really worried about you. And I mean, you struggled and like you were in a dark place for a long time that like it took some time to come out of that, rightfully so. I mean, it was a very dark time.
It was very dark, and I appreciate you and the other few people who kept checking.
I'm no stranger to grief, and the one thing that I have learned for me that is helpful with grief is, I mean, I guess it's similar to postpartum. It's like 6 months after when people stop
Mhm.
checking in and when you start actually needing more help and things like that, and it's those check-ins of, "I'm still thinking about you," long after the person is gone. I'm big on anniversary dates. Like,
Yes,
if
you always remember.
I mean, I do put it in my calendar or else I would not remember because I have to put everything in my phone, but, like, those are the things that I remember as someone grieving, so, like, those types of things are important for me, and the
Yeah.
best way to be helpful in a situation that you can't, like, actually be that helpful in.
Yeah, and I think that you just said it perfectly, that while it's such a horrible thing to lose someone, it does give you a superpower of a grief superpower where you are, first of all, your priorities just, like, scaffold in a different direction, right? It's like that, like, you just realize what the big balls are and what the small balls are and what you need to prioritize.
You have a whole different perspective on life,
Yeah,
I feel
you
like.
do. And you're able to talk to people who have gone through it. And I will be so honest, before I went through it, it scared me to talk about things like I didn't want to think about things like that. And unfortunately, I have experienced that too, that people don't really wanna be around me because 'cause I'm sad. People don't really wanna talk to sad people unless they understand, unless they've walked through it, unless they know that this is a journey and you can feel sad and happy at the same time, and you can feel joy and utter emptiness at the same exact time, and that's this wild human capacity that we have to feel all these feelings, and that was what I went through. I finally completed my family, like, I did it, I got my 2 girls, and within 5 weeks, my whole unit, everything that I knew was just taken away. But when you have those few people that you can go to that know what's going on, whether it be grief or the postpartum, like, I will say, I have to shout out my one of my girlfriends. I have the most incredible I'm gonna shout out all of my girlfriends because I have the most rare group of women that we have been friends from middle school, some of us from elementary school. There's 8 of us. We have 16 babies. I had only one person come to me in my postpartum in the 6 months that I was living about 45 minutes from anyone that I knew, and the only person who came specifically for me to take a shower and do something for, like, I actually had to work, I had to write a report and shower, was my girlfriend, who not only had 3 kids of her own, but was 4 months postpartum herself, and arranged her day to leave her kids to come and do that for me. Just shows you, like, you unless you're going through it, it's really hard to know what people need.
Feel like we talk about that a lot on the podcast of having that village, and
Mhm,
everyone's village is going to look a little bit different, and sometimes a village is super small, but if you even just have those 1 to 2 people that
mhm.
really help you feel supported and comforted, I mean, it makes a huge difference. It doesn't
Well,
change your circumstances of where you're at or what's, like, happening in your life, but it can make it a little bit easier to walk through it.
my little brother, we've been close forever too, but when you lose a parent, I have really clung on to him as well. And he's got a lot of my mom in him. It's such a beautiful thing. They have a very similar free spirit, and he's been a light for me and my kids as an uncle.
I love that. Okay, I feel like we have to get into this a little bit though, at least. So, you went through not only the grieving of your mom after she passed, but also, I mean, you're still going through that, right? Like it never ends. And then you had postpartum depression again with your second, right? Don't
Mhm.
mind me sharing that too.
Please, no, I
It's
talk
just
about it openly.
darkness and darkness. We're in a bad spot, right? Okay, so What was the kind of turning point? I know that you started, we had FaceTimed. I don't know when that was. But you're like, this is going to sound crazy, Catherine, because I'm not like a really religious person, but I started reading the Bible. And at
Mhm.
first I was like, what? I mean, I'm not against the Bible at all whatsoever. I just was like a little surprised.
My second viral video was about astrology, so yeah, I know.
The Bible, astrology, whatever it is, I'm here for it. But, like, it sounded like that is kind of what started bringing you some peace, bringing you some comfort. What was the turning point to kind of where you turned to that
Yeah.
in your breathing process?
I could get a little woo-woo here because I was meditating and it's almost like easier to say. I was having visions and I was having, people talk about guides and having messages and downloads and all of that. And I was, kind of in that experience of definitely like I was hearing something. I was feeling a spirit. And what I will say is social media is an interesting thing, and when you have people praying for you, it's an interesting thing of how things are gonna come, but my For You page started drastically changing. It was almost like it was telling me that I needed to change up what I was ingesting, and I started seeing all these women who were just reading the word of God, not going to not about going to church, not about just understanding the word of God. And as someone so into meditation and spirituality and the mind and metaphysics and quantum physics, I went, let me read this for myself, maybe. I had this, it was a conviction out of my body that instead of hearing from all these things, it was a very direct from God, center in, and I'm going to give you peace. And I walked around with my Bible and I didn't know I was shocking to me that I even bought it. Like I couldn't believe it. I was quick background, raised Roman Catholic, very much into my faith as a child. Even on through high school, was going to church by myself, always found peace in the church, but left in my 20 church hurt, religious family, really backed away from it, read The Secret, got into visualization, and just kinda didn't go there for a while, and so it was super shocking to me too, and I started reading, and I actually started reading the Old Testament, reading the
Okay.
history, and then I had a group of women who started meeting for a Bible study every other week, every other Saturday, we have a Bible and Brew group, and we have an amazing friend who has gone through a lot herself, a lot of grief, and she isn't it's a testimony in herself. So she's gathered these women together and they've been in just an amazing source of advice of a sounding group who were all just kind of grounded in God.
I love that. I feel like after something tragic happens, there's always this point of thinking in your head, why me? Like, why did
Mm.
this happen? If there is a God, you hear this a lot. If there is a God out there, how would God allow this to happen to my family? Or from you, who's had it like from both sides, like what would you say to that?
What I am learning and has been one of the hardest lessons is that it was never promised to be easy. Suffering is part of the human experience, which is a really hard swallow. Suffering actually brings you closer to God and to the Holy Spirit. I encourage anyone who's seeking to really learn about the Holy Spirit because there's a lot of spirits and there's a Holy Spirit and there's a really big difference in how you can be guided and when you're seeking clarity and how you wanna be guided. So it's it's about overcoming that. It's about finding comfort in when when you're down and really feel like nothing I didn't deserve this. Why did this happen to me? How could he allow this to happen? And unfortunately, we live in a very spiritual, supernatural world that we have good and evil. And I think we're seeing that play out on
Mhm.
in real time in our world right now. And God doesn't cause everything to happen, but he does have a plan. And I do now believe and understand that if you give your heart and follow in his teachings, that you can get closer to that plan and that his plan is good for you. And that's where the surrender came from, because the control of sitting and meditating and visualizing my bedroom and what color my comforter would look like and what my nightstands were going to look like and what the outside of my house was going to be. And it was a lot. It was stress. It got stressful. And it got to the point of going, okay, like I'm throwing my hands up. This has not worked. Everything else I have tried has not worked. Show me the way. And I've done that with the social media too. Show me, bring the people to me. I've prayed to just be brought to the right women, to the right businesses, to the right connections.
And it's working for you. I mean, I feel like your TikTok has really taken off since that time. Not that you weren't growing before, but I mean, at more of a rapid rate. I see all your coffee shop
Yeah, well,
pictures and that kind of stuff. Like, are you like making money off of social media yet?
uh, am I making money off of social media yet? Some very okay. So I'll basically the TikTok got bigger, right?
Right. I mean, cause what? You went from I mean, I was there from the beginning, but, like, you have a good following now.
Yeah, I just hit 15K, which was it was big
That's a
for
big
me.
deal. I feel like hitting 10K is a big deal.
It was, and what I'll tell you is I was below 5K just a year. Like it happened very quickly. And it was
Yeah, how did that happen?
I when I started talking about faith
In y
and God.
What are you doing up there?
Is that what you want me to talk about?
You're sending me all these followers. I mean, social media takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, the editing. I mean,
Mhm.
I used to make fun of people that were full-time content creators, like, yeah, okay, that's a joke,
I
but it's totally not.
myself out every day.
I was like, I hope she's like finally starting to monetize off of this.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I love. I've talked to you about my Venable. I love Venable is like my favorite thing right now because I am a type A list maker, and
Yeah.
essentially what it is instead of an LTK or a ShopMy, I'm able to put places and things. So I'm doing all my favorite Long Island coffee shops and family-friendly diners and local beaches, and then I
Yeah,
can
I feel like
also
you just do way more stuff than I do. I live out in the country. I've got one coffee shop down the street. I mean, Milwaukee's like 30 minutes from me, but you're in a nice location that you just have so much more around you that you are able to share.
yes. I totally agree, and what I will also say is I grew up here my entire life and have only gone to Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts up until this year, okay? So
Really?
this was a really intentional decision for me to once I moved back into my childhood home and I'm reliving this very similar in the same town experience, I'm like just sinking into Long Island. I love where I live. I love the love of the coast. I love the ocean. I'm learning about a lot of other moms who, like us, are trying to start something. I don't know if everybody knows what it is, but they're trying to start something. And for me, it's always been a goal for time freedom and financial freedom.
Yes.
Am I there yet? Not quite. The time freedom is what I have curated. That was the decision we made to move in with, with my dad and move back to go do multi-generational living and where I'm focusing. So I will be very honest that
Hi.
transitioning my very public TikTok to Instagram has been a challenge for me because my TikTok was this place that nobody really knew about and it was safe. And now I don't know, more people know me on Instagram. And even though I started fresh, it's a different world over there. So I am trying to get
Instagram's a little more scary, but like you've got it going on TikTok. And I feel like once you hit 10K though, don't you start making money off of videos?
so this is where I'll tell you what it is because I thought I was gonna hit 10K and just put my feet up and start closing.
What? Give me that money.
To collect money from the creator rewards program, you have to have a video over a minute and it has to hit a certain amount. So I have a lot of short form. Like I do a lot of like quick creative, visually pleasing. I love the music aspect of it. I spend a lot of time choosing my sounds. That's probably my biggest thing. I don't know if that's part of my audiology, my past dancer self. It's just part of what I want to put out. Maybe this will be encouraging for me to start doing that. And then the other way is, of course, through like the TikTok shop, which that's what I started. That's what I tried to do this year.
I know we've talked about how awkward that is.
I can't even.
Hard. It's hard. Buy this, please. Buy this, please.
And I have a harder I don't know, I'm trying to be more confident. Sometimes I like doing the more UGC type product stuff and just having fun with, like, filming a cup and coffee or whatever, or if an
We
outfit
are big into UGC too.
Through Billow, and I mean, it's gotten pretty good. I'm in a little bit of a slump, but not Billow's fault. I just am too busy where I feel like I had to, like, take a step back to get life situated, but it honestly, I've gotten to work with some really amazing brands like The Body Shop where, I don't know remember if you guys know who they are. They used to have all the stores in all the malls, and they have, like, 2,000,000 followers on Instagram. I got to work with them. But, yeah, it's a great connector if you're interested in doing that, and you start slow, but once you get, I think, to 40 videos is what it is. Like, I had to hustle and work with all kinds of brands, like, I did not really want to work with, but I was like, "I don't really care because it's not on my account." Like, they're sharing it, they get the content, whatever. But once you get to 40, then it opens this door to all these other brands that you're getting paid, $80 to $100 a video for, like, a 20-second video.
going back to, like, the coffee stuff and Long Island stuff, what I'm trying right now is a little bit of a bartering system, right? So I have the time. I'm going in, and if I can get a couple of free cups of coffee, I'll make your video. And then eventually it turns into I have a rate card. I have one right now. I'm sending it out. I'm trying to be a little more
Okay,
um
look at you. Okay, so do
outbound.
you like walk up to the counter and you're like, "Hey, I'll make you a video for your coffee shop if you give me a free coffee." Like, what does that look like?
So that's a great question. I'm not really like approaching like that right now. If any, it's been a lot of inbound, I will say. So
Oh,
I'm working now on the outbound of just saying, love your summer launch. Let me come try your new summer coffees, and I'll make you guys a reel, I'll make you guys a TikTok. But most of it has been inbound, and they found me and said, funny enough, my first one was a bagel store, which I can't even eat. So I said my husband, he got lucky. But I did get a great cup of coffee, and that was fun. So I got to go out. I got a meal for my family, and I was gonna film it anyway. So that's the thing. Like, this is a creative outlet for me, and going back to why am I doing this? Consuming versus creating are very different. When I am creating, it's like a right brain activation that wasn't activated when I was doing my education, all that stuff. It's filling up a different part of me that really makes me happy. So right now, I'm trying to do it with joy and good intention, and I do believe God will send me the paycheck
the
eventually.
money's coming.
Yeah.
The money is on its
I
way.
think so too. Like, I'm from Southern Illinois, and down there where I'm from, it's like super rural. People don't know anything is there, but it's actually this beautiful wine country. And one of the women that I grew up with, she's an NP and also, obviously in healthcare. She likes her job, but she also needed a creative outlet. And she kind of did something similar where she, though, has kind of transitioned it almost into like this little bit of a tourism account. And now when people are visiting that area, they're seeing her account and they're using it as this amazing resource to find these super cool gem businesses, and it's like,
Great.
yeah, such a passion. So I feel like that kind of aligns with what you're talking about where it's like, okay, you're supporting others by this gift that you have, and it's, I don't know, so fulfilling.
I'm going on little adventures.
I
These
was gonna say it like gets you out of your house. Like
Yeah.
you grow and like you live in such a cool place and you're, getting to experience it. And yeah, I love that. So I feel like from all angles, it's bringing a lot of joy. For me personally, it's hard to stay consistent with something. We want to see results right away.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
too, it's like we're so used to instant gratification that sometimes when you're not getting that, you're like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not blowing up? Why is this not taking off? And it's hard to snap back into reality when so much of the way in which we perceive the world is through social media and people are always sharing their highlights and the things that happen very fast for them. And they're, obviously excited about. But for the rest of us, we're like, dang it, why is that not happening to me?
Question for you. As we just talked about all of this, if a mom is listening right now and she is in a dark season of her life, whether she's sleep deprived, grieving, overwhelmed, anxious, feeling lost, like what would you want her to know?
Want her to know she's not alone as she feels, as late at in the middle of the night it is. She's not alone, someone else is awake. And to try to talk to God, to call out and close your eyes and find the stillness and just ask for comfort and ask for your heart to be held and ask for a change in your mind and renewal of your thoughts. And that this is not forever and you will not find yourself. You're going to find a new version of yourself who's even better and even stronger and even cooler than the girl you were before.
Religion can be such a touchy
Mm,
subject, and I think everyone has so many different journeys of where they're at with their faith. What we've talked about a ton on the podcast is just like these kismet instances, these feeling aligned, all about surrender, whether you call it the universe, whether you call it God, whatever like that energy is that is bigger than yourself, like it is so freeing to be able to kind of just hand it over. Like, yeah, I still have to do a ton of work. I
yeah,
can't just hand it over and be like, oh, here you go. But like, there is this freeing sense of peace knowing that you're like not doing whatever it is, whether it's hard, whether it's good, you're not alone in it.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's a being alone is I think the most scary human feeling, we're all trying to avoid that. And if you know you can be alone but not feel alone, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh. I love my solitude, but you're totally right. Just said that perfectly. Being alone, but not feeling alone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the goal, right?
It is, and I think as moms, we really it's hard to ask for alone time, but we need it so much. My mom, as she gave and gave and gave, but every morning she took a shower, she washed her hair, she blew out her hair, she put on her Clinique lipstick every night, bubble bath, got herself into bed early, really good night's sleep. She knew what she needed to do to serve herself, to serve others.
Yeah, and we talk about this a lot too, the whole different seasons. Like when
Mhm.
you're in the thick of the newborn phase, you're probably not able to do that. But what I have learned is as your kids, even at something so small, like you really have to be intentional about your already daily ordinary moments that you're already living, and if you can make the commitment to be more intentional, like that's where you see kind of the magic happen and the ability to like serve yourself and not feel like so guilty about it. Because I don't feel guilty for anything that I do for myself. I do not. Like I need my sauna, I need
Healthy.
my cold plunge, I need my meditation. I
I
need
need your basement. Come on.
you come to my basement
My
anytime.
dad did put in an outdoor shower, so we can be, well,
I have a bed for you
celebrate.
down there. But these things that I do for myself, I've gotten to a place where literally do not feel bad because if I don't do, and do I do them every day? No, I don't have the time.
Yeah,
But when I can make the time and be somewhat consistent, I'm a better mom. I'm a
yeah.
better human. I'm a better friend. I'm a better wife. I'm just a better human.
Mm, yeah, there's certain, like, it's like those non-negotiables, like, what's gonna make you
It
be
sounds really bougie to say that one of my non-negotiables is my sauna and cold plunge, but it is like the thing that has changed my life that just really, I don't know, it brings me back to myself and is like the reset that I need. And I think
Yeah,
everyone needs to find their own reset. And it's gonna look different for everyone, and I think you as someone with your creating of your content, I feel like what you are really trying to do is to help women, moms come to this place of finding the things that bring them peace.
I would just love to be a bridge for anyone who's in that darker
Yeah, like, what is the business plan, though? Like, do you have some things up your sleeve that you're
business
working
plan.
on?
If you looked at my notes app, you would think I'd be running 4 fully successful LLCs right now, but I have to just I'm like, once they're in camp, I'll be able to, do
I know you have something up your sleeve, though, and
I mean, I started what I really wanted to do is I wrote this like postpartum guide of love to get into digital products and have I'm still
okay.
creating something, some downloads. And I would really just love to continue these local connections. And like we talked about before, start with these mutuals and then eventually business plan would be to be highly desired to have me come in and try their try their
Yeah, girl.
hotel, their,
That in the universe. God's
Yeah.
listening. You put that out there.
Exactly. I would love to promote the places I love from a genuine place.
Leah's computer went down again, but she is
Okay.
someone that is also, if you've listened to our podcast, you know she's huge into community and is totally on the same page with you there. And yeah, I think you just keep doing what you're doing. It's all about staying consistent and not giving up on what brings you joy when it doesn't bring you results. That was a good one.
Yeah, write it down.
I'm
Write it
I'm gonna have to write that one down.
down.
Yeah.
You have like the best taglines, your business names. You're just like throwing it out. I'm like, this girl is full of ideas. What are your notes app look like?
Oh my gosh, you don't even wanna know what my notes app look ugh, it's a mess, it's a mess.
Mm.
Thank you so much for coming. I feel like we could continue this talk, but we've already been talking for so long, so we're gonna catch up another
Thank
time,
you.
but thank you for your openness, sharing your story, being vulnerable. I know that other moms out there are gonna relate to you. Okay, so we are all three a bunch of hot messes, and remember, this is a messy middle. I'm so sorry that Nicole had to go and Leah's internet went out. And so I just wanted to wrap this up. Normally, we ask all of our guests the question of what does it mean to get it right to you? And Nicole did answer rapid fire through a voice message after. And I wanted to read what she said because I really think it sums up this podcast. Getting it right for me is getting to a place in my mind and my heart and my body that I am okay with making mistakes and I am okay with trying again. And I'm easy on myself, easy on my kids and my family. And I understand that life is dynamic and our seasons change all the time. And if we're getting it right, it's probably going to switch up in a little bit, anyways. So just be comfortable with the uncomfortable, be comfortable with change, and embrace the new seasons of life as they come without expecting perfection. And again, I think that sums up this podcast. Sorry, we had to cut it off really quick. And thanks for being in the messy middle with us. We will see you next week.